Hi, friends. I'm Scott Giles, a certified consulting hypnotist and a life coach. And every Saturday afternoon at 2:30 Central Time, I make a short 5 or 10-minute video on some aspect of coaching or hypnosis. Today, I want to talk about the pivot, how you change a negative mental attitude into a positive one. Now, this concept does not come from me directly. It is found in the Abraham Hicks material, which is kind of a new age metaphysical system of teaching that you can easily find online. I do not follow the metaphysics of this system at all. I think supposedly the Hicks were channeling a group mind called Abraham. That doesn't match my theology or my personal beliefs. So the take I have about it is that they were probably channeling or in touch with what we now call the collective unconscious or the superconscious mind, a common body of knowledge that we all inherit as part of being human. The reason I think this is because while I don't think the metaphysics makes a whole lot of sense, the techniques used within this system actually work well. And I'm not the only practitioner who's noticed it. So I do use the techniques myself, including the pivot. And it's something I teach with my clients. So let me explain how this is done. You know, it can be hard when you try so hard and nothing works. You mean well, and it keeps going wrong. Here's a joke, and it is a joke. I've heard at a ministers' meeting some time ago. A guy shows up and he's got a black eye. He said, "What happened?" "Well, a woman punched me." "Well, why did you do that? Why did she do that?" "Well, I was, on a bus, and this woman got up, and her skirt had gotten kind of caught up in between the cheeks of her buttocks, and I knew she wouldn't want that, so I reached forward and I pulled it free, and she slugged me." Well, okay, we can understand how that might happen. The next day he shows up and the other eye is black. Well, what happened? Well, this woman got on the bus again with her boyfriend, and she had, again, the skirt was caught up in between her buttocks, and her boyfriend reached over and pulled it down. Well, I knew she didn't want that, so I pushed it back up. The joke, of course, is silly, but the point is that we sometimes mean well, and we try so hard, and we just keep getting it wrong. And this creates self-doubt, creates hostility. People will sometimes go through the day saying, "Just give me the script. I'll do whatever it says. Just give me the script." Why does it have to be so hard? Must all life be a battle? And I don't think it's supposed to be that hard. I think we corporately as humans make it that hard. Infants, when they're born, are programmed to thrive. In fact, failure to thrive is a syndrome for a medical problem. But we're also programmed to thrive as adults. We are born with the intent in our DNA to be happy and successful. If we don't, it's because we make mistakes in how we navigate through life. Now, other people are also making mistakes and becoming frustrated and hostile because what they're trying to do for themselves isn't working either. And then they act out and we all mess each other up. There's something called your emotional guidance system. If you consult your feelings, they will often tell you if you're on the right track or not. Feeling bad is actually a warning that something is wrong because you're not supposed to feel bad. It means you're out of alignment with something, with the way things should be. So when you're in this position and you can't figure out what to do and it's not going right and you're feeling bad about that, how do you pivot? How do you go from that negative frame of reference to a more positive one that might have at least some chance of getting you into a better place? And the concept is that everything in your world is dual. That is, there's more than one way to describe everything that exists. things can be described in a way that is positive, or at least somewhat positive, or they can be described in a more negative way. For example, I could say that I'm in a lot of pain today, much more than yesterday. Now, I happen to have physiological pain due to a medical issue, and that statement happens to be true today. I could say that. But I could also say, I was a lot more comfortable yesterday, and I hope I feel more comfortable as the day goes on. That's also true. It conveys the exact same message, but in a much more positive way, pointing out what I was happy with and what I hope for, not complaining about what's happening right now. I could say, I skipped breakfast this morning and I'm starving. Or I could say, I'm really looking forward to lunch. Same message, totally different spin. The pivot process is to state in a positive way the things that are happening to you in your world. You focus on what you want, not what you don't want. You focus on what you're hoping for, not what you're not hoping for. And by doing that, you align yourself with the actual intent that I think God created in the human beings, that we are supposed to thrive. And that puts us in touch with the powerful positive forces in our universe. So that's the pivot process. You control your self-talk. You realize that everything can be stated in a way that is hopeful versus pessimistic. And you make a decision to state things to yourself in that hopeful way. There's a philosopher's term about hopeful. It's called optative. O-P-T-A-T-I-V-E. So I try to maintain an optative mood. And I try to do optation, like when I'm writing in my journal, and put down what happened to me, but expressing it in a more hopeful way. That's the pivot process. And the testimony of many people is that it supports mood, and even to some degree seems to just attract more good things. Hey, thank you very much for your attention today. I will be back next Saturday with another short talk. I'm going to be talking about anger and the positive things about anger, kind of based on Harry Goether Lerner's book, Dance of Anger, but and some thoughts of my own. So if you're interested, please join me. As always, if I can be helpful to you, don't hesitate to reach out through my website or through email or whatever else you want to do. Thank you very much. Have a great one.